Hello everybody, this is Petey from BurgZerg Arcade at BurgZergArcade.com, and here we are again in Unity 3D, and we're playing around with NGUI still. And in this tutorial we're going to go ahead and make a main menu, so I can just go ahead and select the scene that we're currently working on and be brought to a working demo. So main menus, or I guess just menus in general for NGUI, he does cover them, but something I wanted to go over anyway. With a little bit of extra details. So we'll go ahead, we're going to create a new scene. I'm just going to go ahead and save it. It's going to ask me where I want to save it. I'm going to go into my scenes, and I'm just going to call it main menu. There we go. At least this is one we won't need a driver for. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my scene. Actually, I want this to be plural. So we'll go ahead, we'll look in. It's there. We check up top, make sure I'm in it. Great. So let's go ahead and create our UI. I'm still going to go over the layer that I've been using all along. It's going to be a simple 2D, so I'm just going to go ahead and create that. And then I go over to the widget tool, and I'm going to need an atlas. It doesn't look like I have any stored. So we'll just go ahead, grab one of the example ones that he has. We used fantasy last time. Let's try. Well, it doesn't really matter. Just pick any one. I'm gonna go to the sci-fi one and the atlas. Perfect. So we're going to start off with, well, we're going to want something in the background. So there's a couple options here. You can pick a sprite, slice sprite. You can go straight to a tiled sprite if you want, depending really how you want it to look. Like I said, he does cover how to make a menu. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab a slice sprite. And the background, I'm just going to use dark. There we go. And I'll go ahead and resize that. About there. That's good enough. So now I'm going to come in and create a button. And the background, well, I'm going to use a button. So I'll go ahead and I'll add that. And I'm not going to bother changing the size. I'm going to move it a bit though. I'm going to move it up a bit. So I know I'm going to have others. So let's go over here and take a look. Here's the panel. Here's that sliced sprite that we use for our background. And I'm actually going to change this to background, just so I know exactly what it is. I'm not really going to do anything else with it. This panel, I'm going to change this to pan, just so I know it's a panel. But I'm also going to call it main menu, just so I know exactly what that is. And the button, well, we only have one scene right now anyway, so this is the scene I'm going to load up with this button, which is the vital bar basic. And sure, we'll throw a demo in there. All right, so we're going to open it up. Like I said, he has gone over this before, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Vital bar basic. There we go. I'm going to turn off the multi-line. It does fit. If I wanted to put demo in there, I would have to make it a little bit wider, but yeah, I think I am going to have some that are actually wider than that. So let's start making it bigger. Make sure you got the root of the button. And let's just stretch it across. Okay. Let's look at this background. Let's make it pixel perfect. Now, if you do that with fonts, let me just take a note here, 2020. Okay, that one actually didn't. I've had before I've hit the fonts and they've just gone all wacky. But this one was okay. So we'll go ahead, we'll close this down. Or not close it down, but shrink it. So we're in the panel, Okay, so we got one button. I'm going to go ahead and create one more button. And by doing that, in order to do it, I'm just going to copy that one. And I know another one that we're going to be doing is the floating health bar, where it kind of floats above the mob's head. So I'm going to change that on this one. So vital bar, floating. And looks like I'll need a space here. And I'm going to go ahead and open this up and make sure I change the label to that too. And we're going to go ahead and move this. So let's grab the, apparently I didn't save it. I believe this is the one because it's the only one open. Right. So vital bar, and instead of basic, floating. Make sure I hit enter this time. We'll go ahead, we'll just move this down. and it still doesn't fit. So I'm just going to go ahead and scale it just a bit more. Actually, it's the font. So let's come in and we'll just bring this font down. I'm just going to shrink it in a bit, make it fit, and make pixel perfect. Brings it back up to 20. I'm just going to bring it down to 17. And I do want them all to kind of look the same. So there we go. So they're just a little bit tighter together, which is fine. And if we go ahead, hit play, they're just standard buttons. When you click them, nothing's happening. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Now, buttons before, in order to get them to work, you always have the on-click event. So if we went ahead and create a script, so I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to call it main menu. And we'll go ahead, we'll open this up, and I'll make my on-click event. So I'm not going to need any of these. So void on click. And let me see, we'll just throw out a debug. And in this debug, we'll just say I was clicked. All right, so we'll save that off. We'll go ahead, we'll take this main menu script, attach it to our panel. So here it is, it's on there. And we start it up and we start clicking buttons. First off, what do you think will happen? Go to the console. Well, if you said nothing, you were right. Sure, we're getting the animation effects that are automatically attached to each button by default, but we're not actually able to capture the event. So let's go ahead, let's take this off of the main menu. And if we actually took it and added it right to a button, so I've just went ahead and threw it onto the basic, Vital Bar Basic, and we start it up. Now when I click on floating, still nothing's happening, but when I hit Vital Bar Basic, I'm getting that I was clicked. That's great, but what if you have a lot of buttons, a lot of different scenes that you want to be able to go to? You don't really want to make a script for each one. So I'm going to go ahead and take this back off. And I'm going to go ahead, take it and put it back on my main menu panel here. And let me just make sure it's on there. Yep. And I'm going to go ahead and select my buttons. Here's the Vital Bar Basic demo. I'm going to come up to Component, NGUI, Interactions, and use the button message. So I've gone ahead and added this here. Now there's a few properties here that we're going to look at. The target is basically where do you want me to send this message? We wanted to send to the panel main menu. So we'll go ahead, we'll just drop that on there. And it's going to ask you for a function name. Now this is the Vital Bar Basic. So I'm going to actually come here and change this function to, since they're events, I generally like to keep the on in front of it. So I'm going to say on Vital Bar Basic clicked. And we'll just go down here and say Vital Bar Basic clicked. Whoops. There we go. And of course, we need the name of the function, so I'm just actually going to come here and cut and paste it. So we'll go ahead and select that button again, paste in the name of the function, and then we select the trigger that we want it to go off on. And there's a few here, and there's actually even more in the full version if you go ahead and buy it. But since this is just for demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and just stick to this here. So I'm going to go with on click. And to be honest, I'm not 100% sure what include children is. It's something I'm going to have to look up. But for this example, I won't need it. So let's go ahead. We're going to start it up now. And just like before, when we click the floating, nothing happens. But when we click the Vital Bar Basic, there we go. So we have it actually sending its message up to the script up here. It's finding the right function, and it's displaying the text for us. Well, great. Let's go ahead. We're going to set this up as well, the floating bar one. And it's pretty much going to be the exact same thing. Only difference is it's going to be a different function that's being sent. So it would be really nice if we could actually just send a parameter to a function. You might be able to. I haven't found a way yet. So if you actually do know that you can and you know how, go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. But I'm going to go ahead, add a button message. The target will be the panel as well. And the function will almost be the same, except it's going to be, instead of basic, it's going to be floating. And I'm just going to cut and paste that. On click is still the event. I'm going to go ahead into mono develop. And I'm going to go ahead and make that function. It helps if I spell public right. All right, we'll just go ahead, paste this in. We'll come back in, start it back up. Console's clear, so we'll go ahead, we'll click this button, and you notice as I hover over it, the tween and everything else is added, but let's go ahead and click. There we go, and click this one. So we now have the ability to tell which button was clicked, and we only have to use one script. Let's actually go ahead and actually do something. So I'm going to come down here and just say application.load level, and the level I want to load. And I actually haven't added anything to our build settings yet, so I'm actually going to go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to come in, go to scenes, we'll add the main menu. Whoops. I double clicked it by accident. I'm going to add the main menu, and then I'm going to add Vital Bar Basic. And I'm actually going to go ahead and just cut and paste this name right into the script. There we go. So we'll go ahead, we'll stop that, start it back up. And when we go ahead and click the Vital Bar Basic, we should be brought to that scene, and there we go. If we go ahead and actually select the button, I missed it. So digging down through, I can't quite see it, the camera's in the way. Well, anyway, instead of digging all the way down here, we could have just selected the driver. It might even be nice to actually throw some GUI up here to adjust the parameters. But here we go. This was the driver. And, well, we've already done this before, so everyone should know how this works. But anyway, that's it for the menu. Thanks for watching. In later episodes, we'll actually get into doing a little bit more fancy stuff with it, like adding our own animations. But I just wanted to get the basic main menu out of the way. And, well, there you go. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.